Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate make it right. I myself am strange and unusual.
Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea because it's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys. We're so happy to have you here today.
Yes, thank you for joining us, as always. I know we're always excited to be recording.
Absolutely.
I have one news article today I'm kind of excited to talk about.
Okay,
Should I get into
tell
it?
me. Yeah.
So it's old news, but with like a new twist, and you might have seen it pop up. But CNN kind of just released this article that the Pentagon has officially released some UFO videos. And there are 3 short videos that showing an unidentified aerial phenomenon that have already been released by a private company. I think it was Tom DeLonge's company that they were submitted to originally by the Navy. And so they talked about this last September, and they were just saying, hey, we see weird stuff all the time. Here's one of them. And I think like when it came out, it was really under the radar, and the same thing is happening now where like the Pentagon is coming forward and saying, yes, we also acknowledge these as they're not hoaxes. That's one of the things they're saying is we want to let people know we validate this. This is happening, and our pilots are seeing things that we can't identify, and we should be taking this seriously.
Right.
So I always find it really fascinating, and when I hear about these things and like officials talking about it, like we're close to disclosure, but like after last September, it feels like it'll never really happen unless there's like some crazy Independence Day type drama going on.
Right. And the thing about these videos, I should say anybody who hasn't watched them, you should check that out. Did they have the videos in the article that you picked?
Yeah, I'll link it down so people can check that out.
Perfect. So I definitely think you guys should check that out. I think from interviews that I've read and listened to on podcasts about the events that took place, I get this strong feeling that the government doesn't necessarily think that these are from our universe.
Right. Oh, they don't think they are, or they do think they are?
I don't think so. I mean, they're definitely thinking they're not from Earth, but they don't necessarily think that they are from this galaxy or even this universe, meaning that they could be from a parallel universe ripping through, like through a wormhole. So I think that's where it gets kind of tricky, because either you believe in that fringe science or you don't believe in that fringe science. And I think there's some belief from government officials that believe from witnessing the videos that these are not coming from here. And so it's hard to grasp. It's hard to grasp because how do you approach that with the different religions that we possess on this planet, with all the different people we are? How do you grasp that?
Right, like even just as humans, we can't get along. So add an alien species, like it's going to blow people's minds.
Right.
One of the quotes that like made it into the article is that Luis Elizondo, he used to be the head of the classified program. He told CNN that he thinks that the videos are compelling evidence that we may not be alone. But like you said, they can't classify it. They don't know what it is.
Right.
And when you listen to the pilots talking to each other back and forth over these videos, like you can hear they're like shocked and kind of freaked out, and they're just zooming in weird directions really quickly, and they're going against, I think it was over 120 mile per hour winds, and just zooming back and forth. And I wonder if it is just little aliens like zooming around, watching pilots, like seeing what they're up to. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I honestly think that it's craft that's come through a wormhole of some sort. So that's just my personal opinion. If that's what's happening, I don't know. But based on what I saw, based on those things that I've heard and read, I just feel like that's what it is. It's just something blipping back and forth between dimensions, alternate dimensions. Just like we've talked about Bigfoot possibly coming back and forth between dimensions. I think these craft are doing the same thing.
The way you talk about it almost makes it sound like it's like a glitch, like unintentional, or what are you thinking? Or you think they know what they're doing?
I think they know what they're
Okay.
doing. I think they're keeping tabs on us,
Mm-hmm.
but that just sounds conspiracy theory minded. So I hate to think like that because it's
Someone's
almost a
watching.
negative connotation, but I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know if they're just monitoring us because they now know how to travel that way. And they're like, "Ooh, who are these people?"
And
Or what?
it's like this is only 3 videos that they're willing to show us, and it's
Right.
taken so many years for them to show us these
Hmm.
old videos and to
Hmm.
even have different departments coming forward and like verifying them. And
Right.
they're also like saying like this is just the tip of the iceberg of the weird shit we have, and just know
Right.
like we see stuff.
It's just like when we were talking about Skinwalker Ranch. They have all that information at the Pentagon as
Mm.
well. So, I mean, they can correlate and gather all this information, but it's not taking them any closer to know what the truth actually is.
Yeah,
So,
and it's just weird because it's like they probably don't want to scare people or sound ignorant because they really
exactly.
don't know what it is, or they
Right.
know and they're afraid to scare us. It's
Hmm.
just, I want to know what they know.
And the reality is, too, we don't have the technology that they have. So it's hard for us to even wrap our minds around what it is that's going on. How are they traveling back and forth? What is happening? We don't know anything about these crafts. We don't
Hmm.
know anything about this phenomenon
Right,
because
like
every
it's like we're
time.
the ants in the ant
Right,
farm, and
right,
they have the bigger picture, whatever it
right,
is.
right.
I just
And
thought
the
it was worth
paranormal,
mentioning, though.
very much so. I was just going to say that the paranormal is so mind blowing and it's hard for us to grasp sometimes because we've been told year after year. At, I feel like I've personally been told, oh, you can't believe in that, you know, can't believe in that paranormal phenomenon because it's against our religion, or you can't believe this, or you can't believe that's just the devil. So when I think about the paranormal on the greater scheme of things, I personally don't know exactly what it is. I can guess and I can feel with all the fibers in my being, but who knows? Maybe we'll find out what all this is in our lifetime. Maybe not.
I know. I would really hope that when I die, I just get a bunch of
Hmm.
answers and I'm in some other dimension where it's
Yes.
like we know everything, like the
Right.
Watchers or something. And if I don't get all the answers
Mhm.
when I die, I'm gonna be like, dang it, again? Like I'm still just an ignorant ant.
Right.
But that's all I can hope for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of the paranormal, should we get into our EVP?
Yes. So I did find an EVP. I was editing the episode that we're going to air next. Well,
It already
actually,
came
the
out
air. Yeah, it'll have
by the
already
time
come
this
out.
comes
So
out.
May 13th will be the air date. And so this episode was May 1st. So it came out on our Q&A episode. I have to say that it was the first EVP that I feel like I caught that I didn't think it could be something else. It was, to me, seemed like this was just another person in our conversation.
Okay.
So I would love for you to take a listen to it and we'll
Yeah, I
drop
have
it
not
in.
heard
Yeah.
before, so this will be my live reaction. Okay, you
Yes.
tell me when to push play.
Go ahead. Yeah, I've seen that too. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Mhm. I feel like I heard whispering. Okay, like I want to re-listen to our conversation bit
Hmm.
and see when I can, because I just hear like whispering when we're talking.
Hmm. But then I made it louder
Mm-hmm.
towards the end. Yeah, I've seen that too. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Mm-hmm. You know what I kind of hear? Bless you.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, bless you. What do you hear?
I thought I heard I love you.
I love you. Okay, so we're both hearing you. Let me listen to
Yeah.
that again. Whoa. Okay, it sounds like that more.
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Right. So I had just gotten done. Our conversation is that you were talking about how you were showing magic to your nieces and nephews, but you didn't know if you were ready for it. And I said, I love it. And then you hear that EVP, which I think says, I love you. I'm like, I love it. And it's like, I love you. And I'm like, thanks, man.
Oh, so the paranormal was like, yes, don't ignore us.
And it came from your end, just so you know.
Okay. So a Christian mind, let's go with that. I mean, not that I have to label it that particular religion, but that's just my own upbringing. Would say that's like a demon trying to coax you in to play with the Ouija board with the children, because that's what they wanted. I believe my nephew was very interested in the Ouija board. And so like someone could be like, they're trying to get you to play with it and take the children. That's be like the devil's advocate for the other side of it, like it's a trickster demon. But I mean, come on, that's pretty nice.
When I heard it and knowing that it came from your end, I'll tell you, my immediate reaction was that sounded and reminded me of our Uncle Jim who passed away.
What? You think it sounds like Jim? I wouldn't know because I never met him.
Right. I was the only cousin in our family who met him. And I have vague memories of his voice because he did die when I was young. But to me, when I heard it, that was my brain immediately, like within seconds of hearing it, the very first listen through, I saw his face.
Oh my God.
And so to me, I was choked up a little bit and I had to listen to it over and over again.
His picture is like in my dresser drawer that I'm like sitting right by.
I love it.
I took it out during Samhain because I just had like, these are my relatives on the other side. And I just filed it away in this drawer to keep it safe because it's an old photograph, you know?
Yeah.
So that'd be really interesting if his energy was here, because I feel like I was able to not invoke, but just like give him some words and receive emotions and feelings back one Samhain, like maybe 2 years ago.
I love it.
I wonder, this is something where I would be too afraid to play it for my mom or for your dad, someone who knew him very well, because there's like we talked about, there are some people who are down with this kind of stuff, and there are some people who are not down with this stuff. And I would hate to like offend them or stir up horrible emotions or have them look at me like I'm crazy. But I mean, you knew his voice, so if you're saying it's him, I should just take that. That's my validation.
Right. I just felt like it was him, and it was like I just can't even explain exactly how I felt, because it was like I saw his face in my mind, and then I just felt this kind of, you know, when you get the goosebumps, I felt that shoot through my whole body when I heard it. So I was like goosebumps through my body and saw his voice, and it wasn't bad. It was positive. So I just felt nothing but love when I heard it.
Wow. And because I'm talking about nieces and nephews, that makes you think like he's watching after the next generation as well. Like,
right. And that just warms my heart so much to think that.
That's really cool. So that's really cool. I don't know if we'll ever top that one.
Right. It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So that's just my experience. I don't know if that's what it's saying. I don't know.
That's one of those times where we have to remind ourselves to trust that intuition.
Right.
Because it's so easy to doubt ourselves. I know, like for me personally with the EVPs, I'm always doubting myself because I think this whole editing process is the first time I'm getting that experience with messing around with audio. And I just, don't have a whole lot of experience. So I keep doubting myself. Is this really what I think it is?
Right.
But, if you got, like you said, you kind of saw him in your mind's eye.
Yeah. In my mind's eye, I saw him and I was just like, oh my gosh.
That's like The Shining.
Moving.
Yeah,
exactly.
That knowing, a cunning woman.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I had just a couple of other things that I wanted to mention, if it's all right. Just some experiences and things other than that great EVP we just talked about. I've really been wanting to learn about moon phases a little more and retrogrades a little bit more. So I thought I'd just briefly mention that today on May 13th, we're going into the Venus retrograde, and that's going to last until June 25th. And Venus, remember, is that planet of love. So this is a loving time, really. It's a time for you to look at the love that you hold for yourself. Look at the love that you hold for those around you. And, just really look with the eyes of love. It's supposed to be a positive retrograde as compared to Mercury, when it's always that negative retrograde. But this one does come with a few warnings, like don't get married
During the time
don't
frame?
accept during the time frame. Don't get married during that time frame. Don't accept proposals during that time frame, because you be accepting those irrationally. Like you may be just thinking through those love goggles, seeing through
Right?
those
It's all
love
that
goggles.
love energy.
Yeah, exactly. So it says
Interesting.
also, don't break up with somebody during this time or divorce somebody during this time unless you're being, physically or mentally abused, because you may also be seeing other people for the first time with these love eyes. And so you may be like, find the need to stray and get away from somebody that maybe
Oh my
isn't aligned
gosh.
with your same
This
ideals.
is some chaos.
Right? A little bit of chaos. You may have an opportunity also to maybe meet your soulmate during this time. And if you do, just be cautious with it and accept it, but don't go like both feet in. Like take your time with it, because you may think that they're your soulmate, but they're really not. So take it slow.
Okay, so everyone's getting Twitter pated.
Right. Also, if an ex is trying to get back with you, don't do it.
Okay. So it's a loving time. Enjoy the love, but you gotta be
right.
analytical about it a little bit.
Right. But some ways that you could express that love is by writing, doing art, drawing, just creating things. Maybe even go get a special tattoo, or, just something that warms your heart and makes you feel love. So cooking, any way that you create, this is a good time for that creation to happen. So maybe there's a sewing project that you've been working on, but you can't finish. Here's a good time to get that done.
That's good to know, because you only ever hear, or I feel like I only ever hear about Mercury in retrograde. And that's just like when we're all expecting chaos. But I never hear anyone mentioning these other retrogrades or like the good times.
Right. Same. So I was like, I need to start learning more about these retrogrades, because they do happen year after year. And
this just means that it's close to Earth, like the closest point to Earth, I think, right? That planet?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
So Venus is just going to be close at this point in time. So it's affecting us with its energies. So this would be a good time to work with that, maybe that cosmo magic we were talking about, and working with Venus gods and things like that.
Right.
Cool. Yes. So you could really tie that into your magic as well.
Yeah. And a lot of self-love. Take that however you wish.
Yeah, because like at the end of every type of love you're mentioning earlier, there was also that little bit of caution. So if you keep yourself and that self-love, not saying to be selfish, but just to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Are you getting what you need out of your relationship? Is it healthy? Are all these things? And so keep yourself kind of in the forefront. That can be hard for a lot of people, I think.
And I feel like during this time too, you could do a lot of journal writing when it comes to matters of the heart. So rather than acting irrationally, maybe you should journal write about it and think about it with realistic eyes instead of the love eyes.
I notice like journals, sometimes I avoid going back and rereading them, like diaries and stuff. I still have a handful that I was writing in like my teen years, and I would just get so emotional and like turn to my diary almost like Mean Girls style and be like, this person's a fugly whore, and it's just like so nasty. But it would be like about my family member, and I'd be like, how can I say that? And so sometimes it's really painful for me to go back and read those diaries. And so I was just telling my mom the other day, if like we were talking about like how you clean up before you die, like you have to clean up, and how embarrassing it is for someone to find this and that. And I was like, well, you're already dead, so what does it matter? And I was like, wait, burn my diaries if I die, like just burn them, don't open them. I thought
that was the pact that you and I had.
Exactly.
That I would get rid of your journals.
Thank you. I felt like we've talked about this, so it's like journaling has been something I haven't picked up consistently as much as I had back in that time. Like I think in my youth, that was like my main outlet. And nowadays it's
Right.
usually like, oh, I have an idea or a project I want to do or a poem or a spell or
Right.
like I have like a tarot deck I want to make. So like I'll just go to my journal really quick or I do dreams. But like I don't know if I've just consistently journaled about my life in like a long time.
Same. And it's funny that you're mentioning this because I was just telling my daughter, I was like, I kept a journal from the time that I was 6. So as soon as I could start writing, I kept a journal. And I pretty much wrote every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And when my first husband and I split up in one of my moves, I was going back and I reread every single journal that I had because I had
brave.
time on my hands. Yeah. And when I read them, I was like, with each one that I read, I said goodbye to it and I threw them all out because I was like, I don't want anybody. I just didn't want anybody to find out because I've done some horrible shit in my life. I will admit that. And it was all in those journals. And I had kids at that point. So it was like, I don't want my children to ever find this.
Right.
Never. And so I was like, to the trash it goes.
Yeah. I threw away one journal after my divorce. It's actually funny that you're saying this because like as I was cleaning out my closet and preparing for the move, like I found that box of those journals and I like was faced with reading them, but I wasn't brave enough to go cover for cover, but I would just like skim through. And it is so painful because it's like your emotions and whatever you're feeling, like you can connect with it. Sometimes it'll make you laugh your ass off because you're being so dramatic and sometimes it's poetic, and then other times it's just like, oh, I remember feeling that hurt and this page is like spewing with all that emotion and energy and I can feel that.
Right.
So I threw away one journal as well. I was like, this journal has a lot of my promiscuous days in it. Go to the fucking dump. I don't need to know any of this shit ever again. Forget it all.
Right.
Forget
I know.
it all.
It was funny because I do remember coming across like, it was like at the beginning of the relationship with that first husband of mine, I was like, oh, I'm so in love. Oh, blah, 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 blah. We're having a baby. We're getting married, blah, blah. And then it was like, towards the end, it was like, I wish he'd fucking die.
Exactly.
Like, good God, who am I?
Yeah, that's how long it had been since I had journaled. Like in one journal, it was like the same thing with my husband. It'd be like, everything's great. He's the best person ever, to like, fuck you. And remember this moment when he was so bad to you because you never want to like him again. Fuck him.
Right.
Just like, dang.
But
the thing is,
I get so mean? I was so mean.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's almost cathartic to me anyway. Like once you say all that nasty stuff and get it out, it's out. But when you revisit it, it's almost like it. So maybe I should be burning it more. Maybe I need to burn more. My dumb ass, I just threw it in the dump, like I said.
That's what I did too.
Why did I burn it? Like someone could find that.
Exactly. I remember, this is going to sound so bad, and I can't believe I'm saying this on podcast, but I guess it kind of goes along the witchy ways. But in I had a serious boyfriend in high school, and when we split, I was so mad at him, and I took my bed and I chopped it up into pieces because he had cheated on me. And I was like, I can't believe I had sex with him. And so I chopped it up into pieces and burnt my bed. My mom comes home from work and she sees me in the front yard burning my bed. Oh. That's so bad. It's so dramatic.
Sorry, my phone liked it. Oh. Rookie mistake not turning my phone off. But dude, that's some white trash loveliness where it's just like burning your mattress in your front yard.
And I had written all these letters to him, and so I was burning them in the mattress fire. It's so horrible.
That is.
Okay.
But I mean, like, I was thinking too, I was like, how did she chop it up? Like, I just see you with an axe. Like, what were you?
With an axe and my bare hands.
Damn. And those springs, you probably have like hurt your hands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
It was intense.
Must have been a retrograde in Venus.
Probably. It was a long time ago, so.
Yeah.
Never again. In learning retrograde, I have decided that I really want to learn about moon phases a little more too. So I thought this week, so May 13th, we're looking at a waning gibbous moon in Aquarius. And I guess that means your relationship with your emotions is a little complicated because this moon in Aquarius has a strong need for emotional freedom. I'm like, that sounds like torture for this Pisces.
Right.
Says when you're in a group of people, it's easier for you to understand your feelings and free yourself from negative emotions like fear, anger, and jealousy. So it's a good time for you to surround yourself with those people that you love.
Yeah, that definitely goes hand in hand. Lots of love this episode. It's all tying in with our EVP and this retrograde and this moons.
Exactly. So I had a couple of things too. I posted some pictures. I think on May 2nd, I posted a picture of something that my daughter and I had made. And what I did was I took an old candle, like an old lavender candle, and there was still little purple wax at the bottom. And then I dumped a bunch of sand from our ocean here. Like we always have ocean sand laying around at my house.
Yeah, I love that about you guys.
So we put the sand in. I put in some stones, and then I took this blank sticker that I had and I wrote a spell on it so that and I'm going to use it as an incense holder. So I'll burn my incense in it, and it says when this incense is lit, it soothes and protects this shit. Then I put in parentheses home, self, soul.
I like that. Sometimes you got to put little shit words in there, you know?
That's
really
right.
Get the strength of the intention and the emotion.
Exactly. I was like, should I be using that? And I was like, in this case, yeah.
It sounds right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I came across these Instagram link. I have these 2 links that I wanted to show you. And the first one says there's 4 different types of tarot readings. 1, you ask your deck a question and it gives you the complete opposite of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
2, it's MTV roast style, starring you and your tarot deck.
Dang, that's also true.
Right. 3, me, hey tarot, I need to know what steps I should take in order to do the thing. And the tarot just says, you should do the thing.
Oh my God. So much. That's every reading where it's just, I like, okay, but how?
Right. It's like, you figure that out. Mm-hmm. And then 4, you draw 5 death cards, but you only have 1 in your deck.
That's hilarious. It's like, but no, for real, bitch. That would be so me, just like 5 tarot, or not tarot cards, but 5 tower cards. It'd be like, but how is this possible? How is my life going to shit this bad? Right. Very relatable. That's hilarious and very on point.
Okay, so I came across angel number 888 a lot this week. And this one just means that you have spiritual abundance in your life.
Does that feel accurate? So, like when you're seeing it, you're like, yes!
Yeah, I was having a really off week. So to me, it was like, it doesn't feel like I have spiritual abundance right now, but typically I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just reminding you we're here. We're just right. On a simmer right now. Right. We are here and you are abundant. I just still see the 1111 at least once a day.
I think that will change. I just, like I had said last episode, I just don't know if these messages were just meant for me, if they're meant for other people, but I feel like I'm meant to talk about it.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody else who's been seeing 888 and they're like, what is that?
Right.
Now you know. Spiritual abundance.
Yes. And then kind of my last, I know I've been doing so much sharing. I would apologize, but I feel like I'm just enjoying
I think
myself.
We're all used to this by now. So you don't need to be apologizing by episode 70, whatever. That's what we're here for.
My last thing is that I have been watching this TV show called Better Things. It's just this comedy show written by Pamela Adlon. And it's about this single mom who, she's raising 2 kids. They have a father. He's alive. He just doesn't spend time with them. And I could really relate to this. So this show means a lot to me. And one thing that she does is she does magical things with her friends. They don't call it that, but to me, I see it as magical. And they make sure that they make time for each other. So it's just this group of women who are also single moms, and they make time for each other. And for Father's Day in this episode, they all got together. And I found it very interesting and very relatable to me that none of the fathers had their children on Father's Day. It's very relatable to me because that's how it was for my children.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did was the kids all hung out together, and the moms got around and drank some wine, built a bonfire in the backyard, and they spent time writing forgiveness letters to themselves and to the fathers of their children.
That
And
is very witchy. That's sweet.
yes, yes. And then they read them out loud, or they'd hand it to another one of the girls, like they paired up. And so one of the girls would read the letter, and they would cry their tears out and burn them in the fire.
I like that a lot because there's so much pain that can come with a celebration or a day that's meant to be a celebration and it's almost forced on you, whether it be a holiday like Christmas or a Father's Day, a Mother's Day, and maybe you've lost one of them. Like, it's not going to be a good day for you. It's just a reminder of something you're lacking. And so to like turn that into a forgiveness letter is actually really, really, again, like cathartic and powerful. Like we're talking about with the journaling, where instead of making it just an angry rant on why this person like didn't meet your standards or why this person failed you, you can try to be like, look, I forgive you for all the bullshit you did to me, and I'm going to try to let it go. You probably did your best, and it's whatever you have to say. Like, that's just a really, really cute way to process all that. I know it's just a TV show, but that's really cute. What did you say it was called again?
Better Things.
And where did you find the show? Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
And that, I do have to say at the very end, which this was by far my favorite part, when they were all done, they gathered around in a circle around the fire, held hands, and then howled up into the air.
I was like waiting.
Just the baddest bitches.
Okay, I see why you say it got a little magic-y. I'm like, if they just called the quarters, then goddamn it, they're witches.
It made me think too. I was like, this is something that I need to do, is gather. I need to have a night like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be about a Father's Day thing, but I do have letters that I need to write, and I need to have support around me. And that's the thing about magic, is sometimes we need to be alone, but in other times we need to call on each other for support, because without that support, we're just sort of lost.
Okay, let's for the future, since we haven't been getting together during the pandemic, eventually we will see each other and we could do a forgiveness fire bonfire.
I love it.
I have not really been catching up on TV whatsoever because I've still just been entranced playing Animal Crossing. Like last night I stayed up past 4 a.m. and I'm like, you have to go to bed. But I was wide awake, and it's just bad. So I'm behind on a couple shows, and I'm like, I'll get to them eventually. But right now I've got to terraform my island. So
yes, yeah. I haven't been watching a lot of TV either, but I do have to say that since I'm working from home, when I'm working, I can have the TV on in the background while I'm working, which is really nice.
Dude, I feel like that's everybody. Everyone's multi-screening it. I'm playing Animal Crossing and then watching or kind of listening to other people playing Animal Crossing, and it's just but it's just so comforting to hear other people talking and going through it. It's just so cozy.
It's just funny because that's what my husband does, because he's addicted to Madden, that video game Madden. So he is live streaming Twitch while he's playing Madden.
Yeah, I get it now. I get it. It's you're not alone. You're with a community of people in a sense, and having fun with your game.
Just like magic.
I'm currently trying to build a shrine and a magic area. All my island is a witch island. I have a witch hat and a witch broom, and so I'm I just found a tarot set in the game that comes with a crystal ball and candles, and I know that there's more in the game. I'm really trying to unearth everything that's haunted, spooky, and witchy, so that my island will just be a museum of the witchcraft.
It's funny that you say that, because in Stardew Valley I have a 5-foot amethyst that sits in my living room. Perfect. I'm I want that in real life. So
seriously, how much do you think that is worth? That's probably thousands.
Right.
Amethyst is ridiculously expensive.
It is.
But oh my gosh, that's my character's name in Animal Crossing is Amethyst.
I love it.
We're such nerds. Okay.
I know.
I know we have curated some questions for today.
Yes. This is our I'm calling this episode Stirring the Cauldron, because I thought, what are we going to talk about this week? I was like, hey, let's talk about some things that we would put in our cauldron. So we're just going to do a back and forth style question and answer, kind of like we did last week. But these are questions that we've decided to ask.
Here we are. So our first question is, what is your favorite scented oil and what do you use it for? Which I feel like I probably have said the same thing or the same three every time we've talked about scented oils. It hasn't changed. I haven't evolved my tastes at all. I still really like tea tree and lavender and eucalyptus. Those are my heavy rotations. And then aside from that, I'll usually use orange. What about you?
I love rose. I guess mine still hasn't changed either. My go-tos are rose, any citrus elements, and cinnamon. And so even this weekend, I made a scenty pot, and I did something a little bit different than I normally do. And I took my pan and I put cinnamon at the bottom of it, like just dried, ground up cinnamon, sprinkled it on the bottom, then cut up a bunch of oranges and mandarins, stuck that in there, layered them really good, put them nice and tight in there, and then
and this is just on your stove top, right?
Yeah, on my stove top. Yeah. And then I put some water on top of that, just enough to kind of make sure that it doesn't burn. Well, and I have a gas oven, or gas stove top, I should say. And so when I started it this time, it was burning the cinnamon on the bottom of the pan, and it just, citrus and cinnamon just poured through my whole entire house. And it just smelled like apple pie was cooking. And that just makes me feel so good inside.
That sounds real nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably good for cleansing, purification, warding off evil, all those good things. I don't remember everything cinnamon's good for, but I just know it's a good one.
Yeah. I know that I had cleaned my whole house, like deep cleaned. I've been trying to deep clean quite often during this virus. And so I had deep cleaned my house, then decided to make the scenty pot after that. And I think that just solidified the protection that I had been doing while I was cleaning. Because I clean with intention. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just like, get this grease out of here and get this dirt out of here.
That's good though. And like when you say intention, it makes me think you're also doing like a cleansing ritual at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Dusting, vacuuming, all of it. I've usually got a window open and I'm ushering out anything that may be hiding in the nooks and crannies of my home spirit wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question, if you're ready, is what lines would you never cross in magic?
Okay, so immediately I would think like sacrifice is not something I do. I think in some time periods and some cultures, clearly human sacrifice was a thing and animal sacrifice was a thing, and to some still is a thing. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone's culture necessarily, but that's just a line I don't cross.
I agree with that 100%. I would never sacrifice anybody.
Right. I know that sounds really silly, but it's just something that's like people tie to magic quite a bit because everyone thinks magic is super, super evil. So it's like one of those old school things that people think it's all black and evil and you're sacrificing babies to Satan or whatever. But no.
Like murder to me is off the table.
Yeah, I think that's pretty... Maybe that was standard, like just an obvious answer. I don't know if I went too far, but I just...
No.
I think it's worth noting.
It is.
Yeah, I don't do that. What else comes to mind?
I guess we've kind of talked about it before, but I don't really believe in love spells. Like I believe in love attraction spells kind of, but I don't believe in the kind where you're like forcibly saying, I want this person to be with me and only me. Kind of like we talked about before with the with practical magic where they kill the dove and they're like, I wanted to see me. Yeah.
No. Yeah. The Adams and practical magic, they don't give a shit what the muggles ask for. They're like, you want it? We'll do it. Right. And they just are kind of nasty in that sense that they'll lead them down a path that they already know is not a good thing. You know, but it's just like, in real life, would you want to be with someone who's like a zombie who didn't really love you? Like, that's just when you know your relationship's toxic. And I actually know people who have like hired people who do magic to try to do love spells. And I just was like, man, that's sad. And I'm not trying to judge you, but that's sad. Let it go. You gotta let it go.
Because if they're not in love with you, that means it wasn't meant to be.
That's not the kind of love you want.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just
You
not.
need a love that's going to last and love you for who you are, not because you're forcing them to love you.
Yeah. And sadly, that's another big misconception on what magic is to some people and what kind
Mm-hmm.
of things you would do. And I've seen so many books in my beginning studies of like trying to find spells. It was just every book had a chapter on like love spells, and it just always felt wrong and stupid. You know, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to do that self-love thing, or you want to manifest a healthy relationship or this right kind of person, then go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like the lines we never cross are hurting people or forcing people against their will.
Okay, so the next one is, would you rather see the ghost of a stranger or of someone that you love?
Because I've never seen an apparition, I think it'd be cool to see someone that you know first, just because that's more comforting as opposed to like, what the fuck, who are you? Like, that could be really jarring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I always just imagine myself looking over and there's just some sort of girl like the Ring kind of style, and then that's just not something I want to see. But if it's just like I look over and it's my grandma or grandpa, my grandma's still alive. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why I said that. That's not nice. But if I saw someone I knew, it wouldn't be scary. Yeah. What
This
about
one's
you?
a this one's a little different for me because I've seen the ghost of a stranger and I've seen the ghost of someone that I love.
Yeah.
I do prefer to see the ghost of someone that I love.
Okay.
Um, Seeing a stranger can be a little disturbing. Oh, sorry.
Chloe agrees.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, get off my lawn."
Since she's barking her way into our podcast, I want to ask a ghost question about her. Does
Okay.
she react often to ghosts? I know it's been a couple of times.
Yes. Oh, actually, that reminds me that I had an experience a couple weeks ago that I don't think I talked about.
Okay, we'll do a little side
I was
tangent. Let's do this.
Yes, a little side tangent. It is about ghosts. So I was sitting on the couch and she was sitting kind of, I guess I was sitting cross-legged and she was sitting on the opposite side of me. So we were facing each other. And I was zoned out and looking at stuff on my phone, just kind of waking up because it was early in the morning. And then I felt something, it felt interesting. I can't explain it, but I felt something jump from one of my legs to the other one of my legs and then bounce onto the back of the couch. And I didn't see anything there. She watched it and then she looked at me like, "Did you see that?"
Ooh, so yeah, she knows.
Mm-hmm.
She knows.
Yeah.
So you were talking about stranger ghost versus loved ghosts.
Okay, so I do prefer to see someone that I love. Stranger ghosts, I still am I feel like I'm still trying to figure out why I would be seeing a stranger ghost. Like either are they coming to tell me something or are they just swinging by to see me? Is it somebody that I do know but I don't remember, or are they just familiar with this place and they come here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And so I guess I'd rather see someone that I love. It's kind of throws you off because when you see a ghost, your brain has to grasp, is this person real or a ghost? It's kind of like you're flipping back and forth between realities almost.
Yeah. I would hope that
Mhm.
one day I actually see an apparition, and if I do, don't worry, listeners, you'll be at least the second to know. Probably the
I'm like,
100th,
wait,
let's face it. I'm going to tell
you
everybody.
kind of did. You kind of did at Christmas, remember?
Did I see it, though? I felt like oh, wait, did I?
Oh, I saw it.
You saw him grab... I felt him
saw
grab
it.
me, which
You
is insane.
felt it, but I saw it.
He
Yeah.
yanked my
Okay.
arm, my elbow back, and that was like the most paranormal
Yeah.
thing that's probably ever happened to me. And then hearing a baby cry was really crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
That no one else
Mm-hmm.
heard but me. And so it's like, I'm slowly losing my
Yes.
mind. It's basically what this
No.
podcast is. Just the Sharon diaries of her going more and more delusional.
Nah.
Yeah. Alrighty. All right. So
All right.
let me check our next question. Would you ever stay the night in an abandoned house that everyone claims is haunted?
Yes.
Okay. I am a pussy a little bit when it comes to staying in a place I can't control. Like, what if a bum walks in and shanks me? What if a cop comes in? And it's like the fact that it would be, I'm just imagining like so like a school or a hospital that's just like overgrown and decrepit. Like, I would probably be too scared to just stay in a place that I can't control the entryways and the access ways, and I'm technically not allowed to be there. Like, that's just so much anxiety. But I am down to stay at places that are haunted, but I'm probably too scared to stay somewhere where I'm trespassing and is abandoned.
Gotcha. I get that.
I'm just, there's a lot of control issues that I have mixed with a lot of anxiety issues that I have.
Right. It's like the one area of my life I feel like I'm not too controlling. It's like, oh, do I want to see ghosts tonight? Sure.
Yeah, you're just down.
Yes. Just down.
DTG, down to ghost.
That's me.
Yeah. I really do want us to go stay at that, what is it? Is it the Yaquinta? There's some lighthouse that has like a B&B nearby us. Yaquina. And it's pretty affordable and it's haunted. And I remember going there as a kid before it was a B&B. And so like, I'm really hoping that could be a haunted place that we'll be able to get to sometime soon.
I went there with our grandma when I was little. And I do remember feeling something in that space as a child. So I would love to go back.
Yeah, now that we're both more open to it. Because as a kid, I was so fascinated by it. And I loved the stories of ghosts so much. But like, I don't remember feeling any energy or seeing anything. And that's my kind of ghost places where I can like rack up some credit card debt and stay in a nice bed. Like Lizzie Borden's house. Like, I just think I get a little bougie with my hauntings.
Right.
Eventually maybe I'll be there.
We're a little more grown up now, so it's like, do I have to stay in an abandoned house? Can I just, stay at a hotel? Or
yeah, exactly. Can we go to the Overlook Hotel or the Stanley Hotel? I mean,
I get that. Okay, what's our next question?
Have you ever had a dream about dying?
Yes, I have. And when I was growing up, I was always told that if you died in your dream, you would die in real life. But I never really fully believed that. In my dream that I died, this is going to sound really fucking bizarre, but it was that I had been stabbed and I bled out. But when I died, I just went to another dimension and started living that person's life. It was like another version of me, and I just started living my life.
Do you feel like this is some sort of spiritual metamorphosis or like other life you were looking at?
Maybe. My initial thought was, did I just die and then hop into another reality?
Yeah.
I was like, is that all death really is? You're just jumping from different versions of yourself to the next, to the next.
That's kind of like what reincarnation is if you think about it in that sense. But you would have to think about how something like that process could never be so from point A to point B. Like you die, you wake up, and you're on Earth again in the same Earth. Like it probably is more interdimensional reincarnation and these life cycles that you would go from a different dimension or alternate reality.
Yeah, but it's slightly different. It's kind of like what I would say as like a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
So like in that dream when I died and I lived in the next version of Earth, it was so real to me and it was slightly different, like a Mandela effect.
In your real waking life?
No.
Okay. So I was like, did you wake up the next day and the Simpsons were like a different color than they were before? Like that would be freaky. No.
But I have had near-death experiences where I felt like my life had changed. And I don't know if that's because during that near-death experience, I changed my outlook and saw things differently, or if I really did die in that near-death experience and just lived on in some other way. It sounds so fucking crazy, but that's just the only way I can explain it. What about you?
I've never had a death dream that I can remember. I've had some really vivid like attacks and dreams from animals, like bees that stung my thighs or like snakes that bit my legs. And like, I don't know if I was having leg cramps, but I just remember like my legs actually hurt so bad when I woke up. Like, so I don't know if that's just some sort of a medical thing going on. Another time I had a nightmare, and this was like maybe kindergarten. I don't remember how old I was. I just know what grade I'm in. And I was napping, and I just swore like a swarm of ants ran over my entire body. I screamed and put the blanket over my head. And then when I finally like looked back, there was nothing. So I don't know what it was about these weird dreams of being attacked by insects and arachnids, and that's like the most vivid dreams I've ever had about like having pain and fear and thinking that it was actually a reality, but I've never had a dream where I died. I've just
Interesting.
been messed with by bugs.
Bugs.
By bugs.
Ugh. What about, have you ever dreamt in a different language?
No. I don't even know if I dream words or if it's just like you just know. Like how the way people describe how like aliens talk to you, it's not verbal, you just hear it in your head and you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's most of the time how my dreams work.
Gotcha.
You? Are you dreaming in Gaelic?
Not Gaelic. But I do remember I've had dreams before where I was speaking a different language in my dream. Like one time I was speaking Russian, and I spoke it and understood it in my dream. But in my waking life, I don't speak Russian
I
or
swear.
understand
If your husband like hears you just say some Russian stuff, you're like, my wife is a spy. What?
it. I love it.
You were Russian or another life, or you were tapping into somebody else.
Well, I do know that we have family that was from Russia.
I didn't know that. We only ever talk about German
I'm
ancestors.
just finding this out. On our grandmother's side, we have family who was from Russia. Now it's considered Poland, but yeah, I'm starting to dig into our grandmother's side of the family and finding out where they came from. So
yeah, we're just
it's
ambiguously
really
white. We just know.
I know, but I'm trying to find that witch in my family and my bloodline, and I don't know where it's at. And so I'm like searching for this witch.
It's so me. Like anytime anyone's talking about ancestry, I want to be like, yeah, but can you like trace anyone back to a coven or the Book of the Beast?
Trying.
Like
I'm trying.
Were we at a witch trial? Like, where's the good stuff?
Right.
Do we have any mediums in our family? Seances?
Right.
I'm the same.
I'm like really looking hard here.
Oh my god, if you're gonna uncover someone in our family who was a Bigfoot hunter, I'm gonna be so happy.
That'd be so awesome.
Okay, so our next question.
This is a little deep, I think.
Would you / have you ever hexed someone, or would you feel too bad about it?
I have not intentionally hexed somebody, but I feel like my words have been potent enough to hex somebody, if that makes sense. That I've been so angry.
Exactly how I feel. I can think of 2 people I have caused physical pain to because my words, and one of them I kind of laugh at because I'm like, the other one I felt horrible about it. It took me years to bounce back from that horrible pain that I felt like I caused somebody, just because in a moment I was being so horrible. I said something really hurtful and then it ends up happening to that person. And I was like, how do you not feel like you did that? Because it's within 24 hours, that horrible thing you condemned to somebody happens. And it's just like, what? Like when I ask for money, you can't give me a stack of 20s. But when I ask for someone to go fuck off and get hurt, they do. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
and that's just the power of our own thoughts. So if we can manifest something so negative, that means we can also manifest something so positive. So
there's
one way to look at it. Lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Try not to say things when you're angry or having fights with your loved ones, especially. I've heard many people who have said like the last thing they said to someone was a fight and something horrible, and then they drove off and they passed away. And like, yeah, we can't always prepare for the horrible things or be paranoid, but like we just have to be conscious what we are saying. And it's really hard to do when we're in an angry place. And I know that anger is something that I think is in my family, and it's something that I had when in my youth. I was really angry, and it was before I was a witch, and I didn't deal with the shadow work. I didn't deal with what was wrong with me, what my issues were, who I was, what my ancestral wounds were, what my wounds were. Like, I just was an angry, impatient bitch. And I think I had the capacity to just lash out because I was in pain.
Right.
And so I think being a witch has made me so much more self-aware to not say these negative things or try to bring them into existence. And I try to only bring good things in existence, and that always doesn't even work. You know, that's just the truth of being a witch sometimes. Is like 1 month you could feel like a bad bitch who's summoning everything you want, and the next it's just like you're getting nothing but the Tower card, baby.
It's like ebb and flow. That's what we have to have in order to have balance.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely would not intentionally hex someone.
No.
I've really wanted to because someone hurt me, but I just knew that
Hmm.
wasn't worth my energy, wasn't worth my time. And I ended up years
Right.
later doing a forgiveness spell. And that was how I took what I wanted to do as a curse. I tried to make it more of a healing.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that that's, you know what? That's a great attitude, a great outlook, something that you can do, that anybody can do now. Like, I feel like that goes along with shadow work too. Like, you can forgive somebody,
And forgive
um,
yourself. And
and forgive yourself. Yeah.
yeah, it goes back to like what you were telling me about your TV show that you were getting into, how
Hmm.
they did those forgiveness letters on Father's Day for the men that
Exactly.
abandoned them. Like, yeah, you could sit there and be resentful, or you could try to let some of that pain go.
Right. Right. Yeah. That hexing thing, I would feel way too bad to do it intentionally. I would not be able to do it intentionally. But,
Mm-mm. Yeah, that'd be, I consider another line in magic that we wouldn't cross.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question is, would you rather be a lady in black, a grim reaper, or a trickster demon?
All right. So we kind of got to go a little evil with these decisions. I guess not
Hmm.
necessarily evil, but when I think Lady in Black, I think it's like the same as the Lady in White, like just that
Hmm.
haunting person who is attached to a location, which would be kind of
Hmm.
fun if you could choose the location, maybe. The Grim Reaper, I think it'd be sad work, but it'd be kind of like a really important job. Like you're just going to, I don't know how that would work, but like I think in mythology or folklore, it's like he just shows up at the scene of the death and then maybe takes their soul to where they need to go. But that would be a really
Hmm.
cool way to like get some answers about the afterlife that I claim to need to know when I die. So if I could just be working in the afterlife, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Whereas a trickster demon, I think you probably would know a lot of low life people. You'd be in a negative space a lot, and that would be kind of like intentionally messing people's lives up a little bit. I
Hmm.
think today for today's mood, I think I would choose Grim Reaper.
It's funny that you say that. It's like, for me, I think it depends on, am I trans am I going to be one of these people because I've passed away? So it depends on how I passed away and what my mood is when I passed away.
Yeah, are you gonna be
So,
that evil haunting lady or?
right. I would like to think I too would be a Grim Reaper. I think of Grim Reaper kind of, that's just an American name, but I'm always thinking of Thoth, or from the Egyptian lore, when he's ushering people over on his canoe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a spiritual duty. Like, I don't have to be a
Right.
scary lady. I mean, I could have a cloak and a scythe, but I could at the end be
Right.
like a spiritual guide to soothe you in your panic or your fears or your pain and be like, it's okay, come with me. And then, bye, you're going to hell. But no, no, I don't
Right.
know. It just,
Yeah.
I think there's some power there, which is kind of appealing.
Hmm. Yeah. I definitely feel that'd be the way I go, but knowing my luck, it's going to be a lady in black. I don't think I'd ever be a trickster demon. That's too, maybe at
Yeah,
some point in my life I could have been, but I don't see that
I
in
don't
my
enjoy
future.
hurting people by any
No.
means. So I don't think I would like that. It would be if you could just be like a ghost. It kind of makes me think of like how I envy cats' lives, how they just like pitter
Hmm.
and patter around at their own pace. They don't have to worry about anything. Like if your job was just to be the lady in black, it'd be like, all right, I'm just gonna be invisible for the day and I'll pop out once or twice just to scare somebody. Or just to make my presence known, maybe move a pot. Like that could be kind of a fun, laid back, chill
Hmm.
life, you know? Whereas the
Yeah.
Grim Reaper is constantly probably working and busy, and he's like, he's got business and clients.
Yeah.
So that could be a lot
Yeah.
of work.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
so we
that's a
have,
lot to think about.
I know. Our last question, though, to wrap our discussion up for the day is let's talk about energy vampires and how to shield yourself from them. So, we've talked about some weird, fun, paranormal stuffs, a little bit of negative stuff, but overall, good things. So, I think it's good
Yes.
to know how to shield ourselves from energy vampires. And I think we might have
Right.
talked about this before, but it can be hard, especially when you have a family connection to someone who's an energy vampire. I'm still
Hmm.
trying to figure that shit out.
Well, let's talk about what an energy vampire is,
True.
because somebody may not know.
Yeah.
So, an energy vampire is just somebody who sucks the life out of you almost. Um, and sucks your, it could be different parts. It could suck your physical energy, your mental energy, your spiritual energy. It could be either one of those or all three at the same time.
Yes. Your time, your energy, your emotions. And by the end of your conversation that maybe you felt went on for also way too long. They were over talking the entire time and not actually even giving a shit what you had to say in return, or just
Right.
blabbering on and on and on. And like, you just feel like you're soaking up all their bullshit, and you're kind of like, it's like you're giving them that ear and it's making you drained. And I don't know if that person is honestly receiving your energy and actually like thriving off of it unintentionally, but it has to be going somewhere. So I guess that's what that would imply. They're the vampires sucking that out of you.
Right. And sometimes I don't think they're even aware that they're doing it.
I don't think an energy vampire is self-aware, and that's part of their shadow work that they should have done but did not do.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
like, if you can't listen, or if you can't read the room, or if you can't realize that you are being super selfish, you know what I mean? I think it's usually selfish people who are very opinionated, or very loud, and
right.
maybe sorry, I feel bad calling people energy vampires. Maybe it's not all the time, but
it's interesting that we're having this conversation, because I've been working on doing some shadow work at this one point in my life, and I had to cut a bunch of people out. And I've realized recently that it was a good thing that I did cut this person out of my life. I hate saying it like that, but it was like at the time, and I didn't realize it until you mentioned it now. So it's like opening my eye.
Yeah.
It's that this person was an energy vampire. We were longtime friends from the time that my son was really young. And every time that her and I were together, she would just talk and complain and talk and complain. And we bounced things off of each other. And I kept helping her. And I just felt like I was never good enough to even be her friend, that she would always, put other people up above me, and not respect the time that we had together. And just one day, after years and years, and after we had started this podcast, I just stopped being friends with her. I just stopped answering her calls. I didn't explain anything to her. I feel bad that I ended it that way. But I had to, because I realized that she was literally sucking the life out of me every time we were together.
And it sounds like it kind of was an organic fading out too, where it's like you didn't quite know why you couldn't handle her, but you just couldn't freaking handle her at that time, and you had to shut it down.
Right. I tried to get her to do shadow work, because I was doing shadow work on myself, and I was like, why don't we work on it together? We can bounce things. I made these worksheets. We were doing these things together, and she just didn't respond to them. It was like, I thought she was responding, but she didn't grow where I was growing. And I felt there was nothing else I could do for her. And she just wanted to take is how it felt. I just didn't feel valued. And one day we were out shopping, and I said something really mean to her. Like, I just told her, why don't you ever shut up? And I had never said anything to anybody like that.
No, that's why I'm laughing. Like, you had to be. Yeah.
I had to be blunt. We were in the middle of the store, and it was my birthday.
Yeah, and you were just like, bitch, I don't have time for you right now.
And I was just like, this is my day, and we're supposed to be talking about things that I want. But she was like, oh, I wish this, and I wish this. And it was always, I wish this, I wish this. And it was just so much negative energy. And I didn't know at the time how to shield myself from anything like that. So I had to cut it out. And I was feeling bad about it for a long time. And then this week, I just was like, you know what? I had a dream that said, because I spent a lot of time with her when I could have been spending time with other people. And I had a dream that she was in my dream, and I was like, oh yeah, I feel bad that I never hang out with you anymore. But then I saw you and your sister and our other cousins, and I was like, but not having her in my life has allowed me to spend time with the family that I have, and love the family that I have, be with those who really mean something to me.
Right. And I don't even know if I've learned how to shield myself. Like, I know the concept of making circles. I know the concept of grounding. I do that all the time. I have my little chants. I try my best to, channel that white light and not let anything penetrate me. But every day, something's penetrating me and pulling me in one direction or the other. And it can be hard not to just follow that and go with it. But I try my best to shield myself by not like getting too emotionally invested in what they're saying, as far as like someone who's kind of an energy vampire or someone who likes to stir the pot. Try to keep like a distance at it. Try to limit my time with this person, which, like I said, if they're family, it can be really hard. This is
Mm-hmm.
also not the best advice, but sometimes I just have to smoke some weed before I go to someone's house that I know. And I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this conversation, but if I'm stoned, I don't give a frack what we're talking about right now. So let's do it. And I'll just laugh and get through the conversation. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely still trying to work with a efficient way, because it's like I'm either having to mask myself with weed and not feel you, or I have to not talk to you to not feel you. So it's a struggle for me.
No, I do have to say I've seen myself be an energy vampire.
I'm sure I
And
have to.
I do have to say that it was only with my children. I feel like that's when I've seen it the most. And so that now I've become more mindful of that. And also what made me become more mindful was that I was able to communicate more with my children openly.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as I kept that communication to say, hey, you tell me what it is that could make our lives easier, what it is about our relationship that could grow stronger. Not only that, but one day, this is another crazy thing. I was driving down the road and I was feeling some extreme energy. And I kid you not, but I saw this. I was low. I was feeling, I guess I should say, extreme low energy. And I was driving down the road and I saw this woman. She was just bebopping along all excited. And I was like, man, I wish I was like that. And I literally saw her energy travel to me.
Whoa.
Like I was sucking her energy out of her.
Yeah, so it's like, and
And
not
I was
intentionally.
like, right, not intentionally. It was just with that one thought. And then I went home and I talked to my daughter about it. And she was like, Mom, you can't do that. I was like, I didn't mean to do it. She's like, but now you're aware of it. So I guess being conscious in those moments, for me personally, I think everybody has to find their own path or their own shield, because one shield that works for me might not work for you.
Yeah, I think that's true. And it might be different for each type of person you're dealing with, and what your relationship is with them and how much you have to deal with
Right.
them. Is it a coworker, or is someone passing by on the street, or a customer over the phone? But
Right.
it's hard. It's a hard one.
Yeah. Yeah.
This reminds me of a really funny concept. So one of my favorite movies I've talked about plenty of times is What We Do in the Shadows. It's like a Taika Waititi movie, comedy about being vampires in New Zealand. Well, he ended up making it into an American TV show, which came out last year. So it's like a new cast of vampires that takes place in the same universe, but it's in America. And one of the vampires they all live together in this apartment, and one of them is an energy vampire. He does not drink blood, and he's just like a really boring accountant. He just wears like khakis and button-up shirts and glasses, just like really plain kind of man. And he'll just go into a room and start talking about something that's like super boring, and all of his coworkers will just like fall asleep. And it's just like such a funny concept to see an energy vampire like played out in a comedy show. And I really appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
So there's some humor there. And I don't think, like Wendy's saying, she didn't mean to be an energy vampire. I know my family does not mean to be an energy vampire. And I know I've been an energy vampire in some of my relationships. So I think it's maybe just a balance that we're all struggling to find. And it's hard to hold on to, because like I could think I'm super balanced, and then a week goes by and everything's changed.
Right. Exactly. I was so balanced 2 weeks ago, and this week I've been out of balance. I was like, even though I'm trying to meditate and all of that, so it's just like from week to week, it's a different story.
Yeah. So I don't really know. Like maybe if you're to wear some stones around, an ambulance around, that could probably help. I think it might be obsidian. It's one of those stones that you could wear that's supposed to be good for that kind of stuff. So like if you really wanted to go metaphysical and get some like outside help, carry a satchel maybe of herbs. You know what I mean? But
I have to say that after I had that energy experience where I saw myself taking it from someone else, I started this thing, and this worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for anybody else, but I'm going to share it anyways. But But I found myself, like I had said before we went on lockdown, I've been taking the bus back and forth, and I found myself surrounded by people. And then I started finding myself being able to feel all of their energy. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to accidentally take any of their energy or give them any energy whatsoever. I started saying deflect. And when I would say that, I would imagine this invisible bubble around me that no one could penetrate in any of my auras.
I love that. And that actually makes me think of a moment I had. I think it was like a couple days ago. I was working heavily with the public, and
Mhm.
I was a little more intense than I had been the last couple weeks where I had been loving it. You know, I had my window between me, but now I was like face to face with people again for the day. And afterwards, I just felt so drained. And I remember I just had a moment where I was like, all right, girl, you're going to connect to the earth with your feet. You're going to connect to spirit with your head, and you're, all that way, that
Mhm.
light coming through you, head to toe, grounded, as above, so below. And I'm just thinking, instead of, you said the word deflect, right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
said the word
deflect.
kind of, I think I said the word reflect. I don't remember if
Okay.
I put deflect in it, but I just started saying a rhyme. And instead of thinking, I started thinking about myself being covered by mirrors so that anyone's
Yes.
bullshit just bounced off of that mirror. And I don't know if that's considered a hex, but like, just back off of me, man. That's all I gave a shit about that moment and that day. I was like, whatever people are putting on me, put it back on you. Because I had gotten
Right.
sexually harassed that day by some old man. And
Oh,
that's just one of my triggers that I feel like is really annoying with our society, that I'm
of
supposed to like
course.
giggle and laugh because he's an old man, he doesn't know any better. But like, why are you talking to women that way? He actually said like, you better behave or I'm going to put you over my knee. And I just walked away and said, what the fuck? And I had a mask on, so I was like happy that no one could read me. But I'm like, I love this mask
Mhm.
because can have bitch face and no one knows. But like, it just really bothered me. And so the whole day, at least some people are really nice, some people are just really draining. And again, it's that ebb and that flow. And so after my shift, I was just like, reflect it back, old man, reflect it back, lady who didn't want to do this. I asked her to reflect it back to that good person. Like, I'm not trying to amplify anything, but I just want it off of me, man.
Gotcha. I think I chose deflect because it meant that I wasn't necessarily sending their energy back to them. I wasn't even allowing it to touch me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was
So,
already all up in me. Yeah,
gotcha.
I
That
showered
makes
like
sense.
right after work that day, and I was like, I had to wash it off. Just wash it off.
Right. I used to do this thing at night where I'd just say return to sender
Yeah.
anything, any negative energy, but then I was like, wait, is that going to cause them
Pain. Yeah.
pain? Yeah.
It's hard to
So,
know what is a hex. You know what I mean?
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So sometimes I get a little nasty where I get so angry because someone crossed my personal barrier, like that old man, where I'll be like,
Right.
you know what? Back to you, sir. I hope you feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But it's like, I don't think it's going to. And why
Yeah.
would you want to make someone else uncomfortable? Does that really help the situation? No.
Right.
No. Better just
Ooh,
diffuse it.
I feel like we just told a bunch of humanizing stories. Like I was just really down telling you guys my dirty secrets.
I know. I've talked shit about family, about customers, about myself, about my ex-husband probably somewhere in there. It's just one of those days. We
It
stirred the
is.
cauldron. See, when you called it stirred the cauldron, I was telling Wendy before the episode, I was like, I thought it was like controversy, like stirring the pot. And I thought that's why we had all these spicy questions. And she's like, no, we're just stirring our cauldron like witches. Like,
Yeah.
but
I'm like, I didn't want it to be negative, but here I am releasing my negative bullshit.
I hope we're not negative. I hope it is just like, look, we're humans.
Right.
We try as witches. You're
Right.
supposed to try to be above it all, but that's just not a reality because I am a freaking mortal.
Right.
I have my emotions, but all we can really do is try our best to be aware, like where I'm coming from. And I think that's something I'm a lot better at. Like when I'm cranky, I can usually tell you, look, I'm coming from a cranky place. I am so sorry. But
Right.
like in my early 20s, I had no idea what was wrong with me. I probably lived in a cranky place and wasn't even aware of it. So we just
Right.
grow day by day. We try as people our best,
It's
you know?
our emotions are kind of like our bodies. Like I have a thyroid disorder that I did not realize that I've had since birth.
Mm.
And I only realized that it's been since birth recently. So
What
it's
does that
kind of
even
strange.
do?
So my thyroid caused me to have tumors in my throat, and I had them removed. But I realized that each time that I have to change the medication that supplements what my thyroid would normally do, I have reactions in my body. And I realized this week, because I had to change my medication this week, which really threw me off and is probably partially why I've been so imbalanced. But it caused these specific rashes all over my body, just like I used to get as a child. And I was
Wow.
like, and it made me think, oh, I used to get this as a young girl, like really young, like 2, 3. I've got pictures of myself with this same rash on my body, and the doctors never knew what it was about. So I think it was all linked together. And so I knew how to take care of it and fix it and what it was caused from now. And so just like that emotionally, as soon as we know what it is that we're dealing with, now we can call ourselves out and kind of deal with it in a different frame of mind.
Yeah. That's crazy though. It sounds like you having a throat surgery, like there's something going on with the throat chakra, and like
Oh,
just like
yeah,
you could go in
that's
a wormhole of looking at the metaphysical of all of that and shadow working all of that. And I'm sure you've done
right.
some of that
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I've always had trouble with communication,
Me
and
too.
I am most certain that that's what I was born with, and I probably chose that for myself in this life.
I agree. Like
Or it was a lesson I never learned. Mhm.
I agree 100%. Like I was that kind of quiet kid who literally wouldn't talk. I
Mhm.
wouldn't talk to other people, or I would talk to like one or two girls in my class. I wouldn't talk to other kids. I
Mhm.
wouldn't talk to adults. Like I was very quiet. And of course,
Yeah.
adults loved it because they love when children are quiet. They think, oh, you're so well behaved. But it's just like, it's
Right.
just further making you feel like your voice is not important, as a kid.
Mhm.
And I think that this podcast has actually helped me find my voice because I have to edit myself. I have to
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to myself. I have to like
Mhm.
try to refine it so that I'm not saying and this constantly, or that we're always just going with the flow of the conversation, and like how much we've grown with our voices and our
Mhm.
confidence in our voices. I think this is just part of our path and what we needed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's helped me to be able to communicate better with my whole family. So, whew, now I still have to come out to my dad, maybe next week.
That's funny. I feel like it'll just never happen with my dad. And the closest I got was to telling him I'm something else because he was trying to like tell me I needed Jesus one day. And I'm just to the point where I'm like, I'm so sick of trying to fit in this box that Christians are shoving on me. I say the word Christian sometimes that I feel like it sounds so negative. I'm sorry, it's just my personal experience of like growing up in the suburbs of Christianity where I feel like I push back. So the pushback
Mhm.
is coming from that childhood of like, that's all I knew. That's all I
Right.
had. And I, to this day, it's still like, that's all I'm expected to do. And I just find it so odd that I live in a world where I'm expected to think one way, expected to have a religious experience in one specific way. And I just think it's such an intolerance when other people can't actually see the whole world as a whole and realize how diverse
Mhm.
the world is and how diverse religion is. And I'm just so
Right.
sick of like everyone thinking I need fucking Jesus. Like I have nothing against you, Jesus. Probably a real cool, chill guy. Would have shared a joint
Right.
with you and walked through the desert. No problem. We would have philosophized. Could have had you a guest on
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast. Nothing against Jesus. But I'm just
Right.
like, I don't need to be a Christian to have that religious experience anymore. I did that as a
Right.
kid, and it took me so far until it didn't take me anywhere and I found something else. And
Mhm.
I don't even know how I
Mhm.
got on this tangent, but yes, telling our fathers is hard because I think they see fear in all of this. They see sin
Yeah.
in all of this, and they would probably have that dialogue of like, oh, I have to pray for you.
Right. Right.
And it's just like so
Yep.
frustrating because it's like, dude, you're not even on my level. That's just like how I get when I'm cranky sometimes. I'm like, dude, you have so much shadows. You have all these issues. You have so much
Right.
anger. And you're telling me I need Jesus?
Mhm.
I'm like, I've seen what you did, Dad.
I
Come
just
on.
think it's for me, I'm starting to see it as that's just where they're at in their life. They
Yeah.
weren't able to, it's not that I'm better than them
No,
or they're better than me. It's just that
that's their
that was
path.
their path.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I can't change it. They chose it for themselves. So, but it doesn't mean that I have to stoop to their levels. If I find it to be negative, I don't have to join that negative force. So,
I just don't think I would ever walk up to anybody and be like, you really need Odin in your life. You're really missing that.
right.
It's just
Exactly.
like, I'm going to let people find their own gods or whatever. It's just so
Right.
what's the word? It's not pretentious, but when like you assume something about someone else and you just assume that you have the answer of what they need for their soul and their heart,
Right.
it's like you can't go about assuming you have the answers and that you have to put that on other people. I feel like for our podcast, we try to be open about what witchcraft is, what the paranormal is to us, but we're not trying to claim to have the answers to it all, or trying to claim to be like these Zen master witches, high priestesses. They're telling you how to be or what to do. You know,
this is just our experience, and we're growing.
Yeah.
We're growing, and now you guys are growing.
Yeah. And you're right. Our dads are growing at their own pace. Like, he's a different man than he was when I was a kid.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My dad was not great when I was younger, but he has really made up for it. And I think that's partially my eyes. I see him differently because I'm a different person too.
Yeah.
I'm not that mean teenager who did horrible shit. I'm this loving adult who loves him.
Why do we get so personal? God damn.
But I feel like, in my opinion, that this kind of stuff, everybody has their own struggles. Nobody's life is perfect. So I'm sure that there are listeners out there who also deal with these same kind of stressors. And that's, in my opinion, one of the reasons why we're here, is so that you know that you're not alone. And if you feel that you're depressed about something, talk to somebody about it. Don't keep that shit inside. Use your voice, use your intention, use your words, and use your magic.
Yeah, that's very true. That is your magic, your voice, your words, your thoughts. That is your power. And it is important.
And you own it.
That's You are important. You are valid. Your feelings are valid. And we're flawed. We're beautiful. We can manifest good. We can manifest bad. So let's try to focus on cleansing out the bad and healing out that bad, and trying to become better versions of ourselves slowly but surely.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me of Grace and Frankie, when Frankie's on the table and she's like, breathe in the good, breathe out the bullshit.
I love that.
Yes. Yeah. That's me.
Yes. Gotta love Frankie. She's definitely a spirit animal for sure. Like, we can only aspire to be a Frankie when we're older.
That's right.
Yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap it up, if any.
Yes. Let's wrap it up.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. You can always join us every Wednesday for new episodes, and you should know where to find us by now. We're on Podomatic, or anywhere else where podcasts can be found. And if you're looking to find some of our older episodes and you can't find them, we do have episodes in 2 spots, so you might see 2 Cousins Covens pop up, but they're both us. cousinscoven.home.blog for our older episodes, and all of our new stuff will be on Podomatic. And if you have any questions, advice, or paranormal experiences, just send those into cousinscoven2@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys, so please keep listening, like, subscribe, and share with all of your witchy and weirdo friends.
Yes, and may you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and joy in each other. Blessings to all.